there, Shay here, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about some manga recommendations for beginners. In this video, it is a collaboration with two of my very good friends here on BookTube. That is Tamika over at Library of Tomes and Izzy at Happy For Now. I adore both of these ladies. I met them when I hosted when I started planning the Love in the Night readathon, and since then they have deep dove into manga, and we all have recommendations for you, and none of us are repeating any recommendations, so you definitely want to check out their videos as well. I will leave their videos linked down below, so make sure you go and check them out and subscribe to them while you're there, because they've really upped the amount of manga content that they're sharing. So the first one I'm going to talk about, most of mine are going to be slightly more obscure than the other two, but I am really excited to recommend these. The first one is one that I recommend all the time, and that is Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. In this, we're following a young woman named Seraphi. Seraphi is a human who was raised her entire life to be a sacrifice to the King of Beasts in the neighboring kingdom. And when she shows up to be his sacrifice, some spoilery related things happen, and she ends up becoming the bride or intended of the King of Beasts instead of his sacrifice. I'm not going to tell you what that is because that is a major spoiler plot point, but this is a very political fantasy shoujo, so if you're used to reading like a YA fantasy, this is a great place to start because you've got a female who's quiet yet strong, and then you have this beastly guy who really wants to protect her, and this is about her proving herself politically, that she is strong enough to stand by his side despite being a human and him a beast. And it is just so brilliant. I love it so very much. Highly recommend the series as a whole. It'll be a total of 15 volumes long, so it's not overly long. It's not a huge commitment, but 12 of them are out, so you have a significant jump on the series. And there will be an anime later this fall as well. So believe me when I say this is top tier, really good stuff. Next is one of the most popular titles on this list, and that is Haikyuu. Haikyuu, we are following a high school volleyball boys team, but we're primarily following two characters. The first and primary character that we follow being Shoyo Hinata. He sees this game on TV as he's driving by, and he sees this short guy who's kind of like him, really killing it at volleyball, and he decides he wants to be just like him. They call him the Tiny Giant, and that is his goal in life. And so he goes to school, he wants to do the volleyball club. They don't have one for boys, and so he struggles, and then he finally gets enough people together to go and play in this tournament. There he faces his rival across the net, Tobio Kageyama, who's at a very elite volleyball school, is very talented, very gifted, and basically they thrash Hinata and his team, obviously. And so he swears revenge, and then he shows up at high school the first day, and it finds out that they're going to be on the same team and they have to learn to work together. Throughout this, we meet various rivals. Basically, we follow a year of this high school volleyball team and the characters, and it's so character-driven and emotional. I love it so much. And then we do get a time skip later in the series where we do get to see them as adults and what is going on. This is towards the end of the series, obviously, so this is a longer one. The reason why I'm still mentioning it is available on the Shonen Jump app. So you can access it for very little money, and you can just go and binge and have a great time. There is also an anime. The first 2 seasons are on Netflix. They're dubbed, and I love it so much. You can enjoy it in any format, and you will have a great time. The next one on this list has a very different tone to the other two, and that is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. This is the complete manga story. In this, we're following a high school boy. We don't learn his name till the very end of the series, so I'm not going to tell you who he is, but we're following him as he gets to know this classmate. She has pancreatic cancer, and it's just kind of about the journey of their friendship. It's actually really beautiful. I really enjoy it. I don't want to say too much more than that. I do know that there's a movie for this one as well. So if you don't necessarily want to read the manga, you can enjoy the movie, but I do recommend reading it. It was a beautiful experience, and I really enjoyed my time with it. Next up, we have Wish by Clamp. This is one of my all-time favorites, and this one does feature a gender-fluid angel named Kohaku. Kohaku is out on the human world looking for someone in particular. and they end up trapped in a tree by a cat because their powers fluctuate. So during certain hours, they can only live in their tiny, I call it a chibi form. So only in their little tiny form rather than their full human-sized form. And this man named Shunichiro saves Kohaku. So Kohaku says, let me grant you a wish. And Shunichiro says, you know what? I'm good. I don't need a wish. And so Kohaku feels bound to stay until they have an opportunity to grant Shunichiro a wish. And this story is so beautiful. I really love the representation with Kohaku. And this was written years ago, so well ahead of its time. And it's so good. Really so good. Highly recommend it. And again, the complete series is contained within this omnibus. I've read this several times. My spine hasn't cracked at all. It's not even really bent. And it sits open pretty well because it's heavy, and it's just so good. Highly recommend this series. Next is a newer title that is available on KU. I did a bunch of Kindle Unlimited recs, so I will leave that linked in the corner for you. And that is A Sign of Affection. This is by Sue Morishita. In this one, we're following a girl who is deaf, and she meets this guy on the train, and he tries very hard to like get to know her and talk to her, but because she's deaf, she can only understand so much. And this is about them and their growing friendship evolving into a romantic relationship, I believe. It's gonna be so stinking cute. He does have like a hand tattoo there. I wasn't sure if it was just for the cover, but it does appear throughout the manga. This is so cute. He's starting to learn sign. He's very adept at languages, so he goes out of his way to start to learn sign to get to know her better, and oh, I love it so much. And I love that they're college age as well, which means great things in the future of the series. And like, seriously, this art is truly just a thing of beauty. Like, I love it so very much. Highly recommend the series. And then last but not least for my recommendations is going to be Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist is one of my favorite shonen titles ever. This was a gift from Viz, this hardback volume 12. I'm going to be sending it on to someone. But in this, we follow two boys. We follow the Elric brothers, Edward and Alphonse. They commit a taboo early on with alchemy, and they have severe ramifications for that. Alphonse's soul is now bound to a suit of armor, while Edward has sacrificed his arm and his leg. He truly, they are on a mission to get their bodies back, and it's a really wonderful journey. It is action-packed, it is political, it does have a small romance in it, 2 small romances, I would say, and it is brilliant. I really loved it. It does have like a World War II era kind of feel about it, so do know that. And Winry, this girl here, she is best friends with the boys, and she is also a mechanic, so she takes care of Edward's mechanical arm and leg all the time, and I just love this series with so much of my being. Again, there are technically 2 animes out of this. Brotherhood is the truest to the manga. I have not watched the original yet, but I intend to at some point to do a comparison. But I really love this series with so much of my being. Himuro Arakawa is one of my favorite mangaka. Anything by them has been really solid in my eyes. So I highly recommend checking them out, as well as Full Metal Alchemist in particular. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, make sure you're checking out Izzy and Tamika. They're both amazing humans, and I adore them with so much of my being. And I will see you guys in the next video.